I have been homeless for over 100 days. I live here in this Prius, which is a rental car, and I work more than full time. I work more than 50 hours every week, and I can't qualify for an apartment in most states in America today.
Yo, I just got some terrible news, man. I just got kicked out the storage unit, man. This is crazy. I don't know where I'm gonna go now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to go back to I don't want to go back to the house or none of that. I don't want to do none of that, man.
I'm currently living in a storage unit. My landlords decided not to renew my lease this year, and the apartment that I applied for won't be open until October 1st. I have family here in town, but here I am, living in the storage unit.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel, and I'm an astrophysics professor at UCLA. A little while ago, I had to move all of my stuff into one of these storage units because I was paid only $66,000 last year, and I'm only being paid $70,000 for this academic year to be a full-time physics professor. And the rent in Los Angeles is incredibly expensive. It's $2,500 for a one-bedroom apartment, so I'm no longer able to afford that. I had to move all of my stuff into the storage unit. Now, I'm not officially homeless. I'm staying someplace. It's in San Diego, so it's nowhere close to Los Angeles.
More and more people are really struggling here in the United States to put a roof over their head. A lot of people are not able to qualify for apartments or purchase homes. They're having a hard time. They are becoming homeless. And a lot of people are even finding more creative ways to try and keep a roof over their head. Some people are even looking at storage units.
This might be a hot take, but you know the guy that's living in the storage unit, he was recording himself living in there. Yes, that might be illegal, but I don't understand why everyone is making fun of him, that he's living in a storage unit. He seems happy that he has a roof over his head, that he's not living in the streets. And then on top of that, I see some videos where they're talking about the woman in the video, and they're like, oh, a woman will stick by a broke man and be happy living in that storage unit. She's homeless. She doesn't have a home. If someone were to house her, that could be a dangerous situation where they're trying to take advantage of her. If she can find a roof over her head and the person can keep her safe, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Who's going around picking up homeless women on the street unless you have an ulterior motive? So with this conversation is we're making fun of people living in storage units, but why are people living in storage units if it isn't the system that we live in? I don't believe that everyone has the right to be housed. That should be a basic necessity. To be making fun of somebody for living in a storage unit, I don't understand that. When you know how it is living out here. You know how it is paying bills and making sure you have food in your stomach and making sure you still have a roof over your head. And a lot of us are this close. Some of us are like this close, working paycheck to paycheck to make sure the roof is over our heads. And you're making fun of him because he's living in a storage unit and he's happy that he's living in a storage unit and he's grateful he's living in a storage unit. Mind you, I don't know their backstory. This is just what I'm seeing. The storage unit, the fact that they're even unhoused, is a problem with the system that we live in. The problem with late stage capitalism. I don't see a reason why we should be making fun of them for trying to survive.
Can somebody tell me why we gotta pay all this money for rent, light bill, gas bill for a house that we don't even get to be at? We be at work all day, come home, only thing we got time for is to shower, eat, go to bed, wake up and do the same thing. This ain't no house, this is a storage unit. Expensive storage unit, that's all it is. For our clothes, our bed, and somewhere to park our car overnight. That's it. Make it make sense. I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy my house too. Make it make sense.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because, shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a one-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, that car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home and you only eat decent quality food because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75,000 a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, that's $300. Shut up. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to. There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world.
I heard people living in like storage, they renting out storage units and living in them. How things looking, how things like this rent going up so high. I think we all gonna end up living in a storage unit, rent one out. It's cheap, y'all. What the lowest, like maybe $100 to live in one of them things?
The trade war isn't over. It's just been rebranded, and you're still paying for it. You might have seen the coverage. Trump reduced tariffs on China, and suddenly people are acting like the crisis has passed. Markets are up. Commentators are sighing in relief. It's like they want to believe we're back to normal, but we're not even close. And the truth is a lot uglier than the headlines let on. Yes, Trump lowered tariffs on China from 145% to 30%, but 30% is still extreme. And tariffs on the rest of the world are still locked at 10%. That's the highest level in generations. It's the policy equivalent of switching from a sledgehammer to a crowbar. Still destructive, still blunt force, just a different tool. Walmart announced it'll have to raise prices. Why? Because they're paying more for everything they import. Trump's trying to pressure them to absorb the cost that he imposed on them. But here's the choice. Either Walmart raises prices or it cuts jobs. And either way, working families lose. Tariffs are taxes, full stop. And the people hit hardest are the ones who can't absorb it. Lower income Americans spend more of what they earn, and they spend it on goods, not on services. And tariffs hit goods, clothes, household basics, over-the-counter meds. This is a tax on the working class. The less you make, the more it takes from you.